What's up, my friend? Welcome back to another video. So today, let's take a look at a new library from SRM Sounds called the Max Richter Piano. And this is a new library that came at the same time as the announcement of this company by Max Richter. Really, really cool. And this piano library specifically focuses on the quieter dynamics. So right off the bat, if you're looking for something that's completely dynamic with all the soft and the loud layers sampled, you're not going to find that here. This piano kind of represents the aesthetic of Max Richter, whose music airs on the softer side of things. So that's the sort of library you're going to get here, okay? So just know that right off the bat. But aside from that, let's take a look at some of these details. So on their website, they basically tell us a bit about the library. This is like Max Richter's piano that he uses of choice. He uses it all the time. In terms of the key features, it's 98 gigabytes, so nearly 100 gigabytes for this library. Now, for me, first impressions is that is quite large. The piano libraries I'm used to are around, usually 5 gigabytes to maybe 30 gigabytes. But as we'll see in a little bit, this library is actually comprised of 2 sample sets. So it's essentially like 2 pianos that are recorded. One in the natural way, like in the typical way of putting the mics inside the lid and stuff like that. And then the other with the mics actually underneath the piano. So he differentiates them as open and closed. So we'll get to hear those a little bit afterwards. 3 mic positions per instrument, 5 round robins, 10 dynamic layers, PPP to MP, right? So we have a limited dynamic range, but those dynamic layers within those quiet dynamic layers is really cool. Gives you a lot of variation there. Short and long reverb controls, all this other stuff is good to know. And then it's available for the free contact player as well for 6.8 and above, okay? And then, yeah, you download via native access and use the serial to activate. It tells you a little bit more about the piano here. So with that being said, let's kind of dive in. This is what it looks like. It's a very simple library. SRM Sounds number 1. I think I personally would have preferred it to actually say Max Richter Piano on the thumbnail here myself, but hey, it makes sense. Like, he's probably going to have more libraries that are going to say number 2, 3, and 4, and he wants them to be really easily readable. So makes sense. Then we have piano close, piano open. These are the 2 main patches. We're going to start with the open. Here in the GUI, you can see it's very, very simple, actually. We have the 3 mic positions. This is out of the box. We can tweak them a little bit afterwards. But these are the 3 mics, and then we have the reverb, noise, and velocity, and then round robin as well. So let's start with open. I'm going to play a little bit, and then we'll kind of discuss our impressions. So here we go. All right, so that is the sound out of the box, and as you might expect, it's a very warm sound, very intimate, and it fills up the stereo spectrum in a really rounded way, which I do appreciate, and I like that vibe quite a bit. A lot of people have already said on VI Control that this library is quite like the Spotlight piano from Fracture Sounds. As you can see here, I literally have it right above. I kind of load all my pianos up at the top of my contact window, but I think they're similar in vibe enough that I put them together. So I can do a comparison video for these 2 libraries if you're interested. Just let me know in the comments below. But yeah, in general, it's kind of a similar aesthetic, very focused on the quieter dynamics. You do notice more of a low end though, right? The low end is quite warm and quite present, whereas in the high end, I find it doesn't quite have the same high frequencies. There's more of an emphasis on the mid to lows in my impressions here. So just keep that in mind. But again, you can play around with the mic positions, and you can always EQ the sound as well afterwards too, right? So anyway, let's kind of maybe hear these mics a little bit more. We have vintage ribbon, modern ribbon, and pencil. So let's maybe turn down the other two first and start with the ribbon, and then we'll hear the other ones as well. So here's the vintage one. Yeah. So slightly different signatures for all three, but the vintage ribbon is definitely the most low end focus one from what I'm hearing here. So the modern ribbon, I think, strikes a good balance between the neutral sound, like not having too much low end, not too much high end and stuff. And the pencil has more of a focus on the highs just a little bit. So I think if you want a slightly more balanced sound, you can always turn down the vintage ribbon a little bit, turn up, or maybe leave the modern ribbon somewhere around the center, and then the pencil can be a little bit higher. So let's see how this mic distribution sounds. Yeah, for me, that's more of my type of balance, and so you can see the importance of really tweaking to taste, and it makes it really, really easy for you to tweak those mic positions. So I love that option for sure. And then yeah, you got these other ones: reverb, noise, velocity, round robin. But I typically add reverb in post anyway. I typically don't use too much onboard reverb in libraries. Noise floor, I might typically lower the damper because, or the pedal as well. I don't really want to hear too much of that because I can add my own pedal, and I don't want the pedal noise to distract from the piano sound. So that's the general piano open tone, right? Very, very warm, very open, which makes sense considering the mics are recording the sound that's coming up from the piano. So let's take a look at the closed. And again, these microphones are, I believe, the same, but or not the same, but modern valve you have, and then ambient, which I believe was placed in the corners of the room. But maybe let's check one more time just to be sure. I don't want to spread misinformation here. So let's see here. For the closed piano, the ambients are high up in the corners of the room, right? And then there's room mics, stereo pair to capture more of the room, and then the under mics, vintage ribbon for warm and intimate sound. And for the open, you can read about those here. So anyway, let's hear the close a little bit. Again, this is out of the box. Let's hear what this sounds like. Okay, so this is very interesting actually. For me, this patch sounds more like an upright piano, almost like an upright piano. It definitely has a lot less low end, and it almost sounds like a toy piano in some parts, like even up here. It has that or almost like tinkly sound that you sort of get in a toy piano, which is kind of cool. It's not a bad thing, but it's just a different signature compared to the warmer, low endy sound of the open patch. Personally, I probably use the open patch more. I just like the sound of the piano naturally as it is, but this gives you a nice alternative color. And again, maybe let's just play around with the mics a little bit here. So let's hear vintage ribbon, then we'll hear modern valve and ambient. So let's turn up vintage ribbon, turn off the other two here. Yeah, so some pretty cool differences there as well. I feel like the modern valve is definitely the most mid-heavy. The vintage ribbon definitely has some more of the low end, kind of similar to the open patch. And then the ambient just adds a nice body around the sound source itself. So that's pretty cool too. And again, you get the same controls at the bottom. But yeah, I think my personal preference would be the open patch. And I kind of like the mic mix I set up here, just because I don't like too much low end and I don't really want that clogging up the mix, especially if there's more instruments I want to add in there. Usually for more exposed intimate performances, I would typically use like a piano patch and then maybe a solo instrument patch, either live or sampled. But because I want sort of a warmer sound, I would like some of the low end from this library, but maybe not as much as it comes, from out of the box. So I'll just turn down the vintage ribbon, leave the mod ribbon about halfway. You turn up the pens a little bit for the high end, and I kind of like that balanced sound. So that's a quick look at the Max Richter piano. Big thanks to SRM Sounds for sending me a copy. Thanks, Will. Really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed this little overview of the library. Let me know your thoughts about it. I'd be curious to know. Definitely a cool, interesting alternative color to add to your palette if you don't already have like a soft piano. And again, if you're interested in a comparison between this one and the Spotlight piano, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to do a video on that. And again, if you want like my full library recommendation list, then definitely download my sample library buyer's guide down below. It's the first link in the description, and you can check out my personal preferences for not just piano libraries, but all the orchestral sections, strings, winds, brass, percussion, and a whole bunch of other categories. I've also put in the utilities and the pricing there in case you want that. And just treat it as a buyer's guide. If you're on the market for something new and you're interested in my thoughts on it, it might be potentially in there. So you can check that out absolutely free as my gift to you for watching this video today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, and I look forward to seeing you there. Take care.